G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Ladies and gentlemen, by popular demand, we have got a matchup that is happening again. Ladies and gentlemen, spawning in the south of the map, in the color orange, playing as the Delhi Sultanate. It's our one-trick pony, May. And in the north of the map, playing as the Chinese in the color pink, it's Beastie, aka D's Nuts. Welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. A pleasure to have your company here on Gorge. You'll hear my voice is a little bit crackly, and that is because I've only just woken up, even though it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, I'm a bit of a degenerate. You'll, well, yeah. Anyway, look, it'll get better as it goes on. I always, you know, one of the things that's kind of interesting, but like, I guess as a YouTuber, I always try and like make sure the conditions are perfect before I record a video. And one of those things is like, I always try to make sure my voice is woken up. And that means that, you know, I don't record videos after I've woken up. But I said, you know what? I want to see what's going on because these two are playing a live game right now. And I need to see how it goes down because we got a rematch of that last one. Of course, if you haven't been following along, Beastie currently rank 1 on the ladder. May is gunning for that top slot. Now, May, for anyone who's unfamiliar, is a one-trick pony. Only plays the Delhi Sultanate, who's only played the Delhi Sultanate for months. So very familiar, very intimate with this civilization, and is very, very competent. We've seen him take down Elyona. We've seen him take down Anatand. And keep in mind, Anatand is currently, I think, top 5 on the ranked ladder. So this is pretty good. Now, obviously, May's a good player. You know, Conqueror 3+++, I think rated about 2,000 ELO. But compared to Beastie, who's about 2,300, somewhere in that region, still quite a way away. Oh, excuse me. Okay, that's why I don't record when I've just woken up, because I lose my voice. Anyway, so there's a bit of a skill difference between these two players, but I think the big question is, like, you know, Beastie, obviously he plays every single civilization very well, but can he go up against somebody who plays only one civ but just plays it extremely well? Now, we answered that question in our most recent video where we saw Beastie take on May, and Beastie was playing as the Malians. Today, we've got ourselves a rematch. This time, it's with Beastie on the Chinese. Now, this matchup is not a fun matchup for the Delhi Sultanate. It is quite a difficult matchup, and I think I gave it a little bit of an earlier estimate in one of these games that I'd suspect that the win rate for the Chinese in this matchup would be about 57-58%. It just feels very favorable towards the Chinese, and that's because you've got access to the Barbican, which can completely shut down a sacred site. You've got access to the Jukunu, which is incredibly good against all the feudal age units for the Delhi Sultanate. So there's a lot of good reasons why it is, well, a lot of nice reasons, but one of the interesting things that we see here is that Beastie opened up with a double scout, playing as the Chinese, and I like this a lot. I think that playing as the Chinese, you want as many sheep as you can possibly get, and the reason why is because you can multiply those sheep, because this is 12 sheep, but the reality is once you've got an imperial official that's going to be supervising on this mill, then that goes up from 12 up to, what, 15 sheep, something like that, because you're obviously producing extra resources because of the imperial officials and their supervision. But Imperial Academy about to come up 3 vils on that one, about 343, 345, somewhere in that region. There we go. And immediately we'll see that Imperial official now going to be coming out and will be supervising the mill as soon as possible. Now, the next thing that we'll be looking for is whether that Barbican gets dropped down on the south side, whether it goes in the middle, or whether it goes to the top. Now, I would normally suspect it goes on the edge of the map, and the primary reason for that is because if you're putting the Barbican down in the middle, the enemy doesn't take this sacred site, but then they take this outer site, and then they take this outer site. And if you want to go from one sacred site to the other one, it's quite a walk if you've got a whole bunch of Jukunu. So I would expect that you see the Barbican thrown down here, and then the Jukunu can kind of bounce between these two sacred sites. And the other thing to note is that Beastie doesn't even really have to go into spears. He can play 100% Jukunu and still do very well in this matchup, but you typically want to add in a couple of spears just to make sure that you're okay. But we see the age up now coming through on the side of May, immediately throwing down the stable. Sanctity in Q, goes up with the Dome of the Faith. No surprise there. This is something that we've seen multiple times from him. Now, I will apologize in advance, as I do in all videos, if I refer to May as her. In my head, May is just a feminine name, and that is just how I think of May. It's look, I don't think of May as a girl. It's just the name May. That's all. So just know, because I was gonna say her a little bit earlier, but I didn't. I caught myself. Anyway, We see the stable comes up. Ghazi Raider in queue. Expect to see this this scholar thrown inside this stable. At least that's what we often see. Barbican of the Sun going to be coming up. I did see 4 Vils on it. Where does he put down that Barbican? And is it going to be towards the south side, or does he go safe within his base? It is just going to be safe within the base, so not even looking to contest any of the sacred sites. This is a big commitment for Beastie here to do this, because obviously he's done a good job in pushing the deer in. Initially, I think they spawned somewhere out here. He's managed to use both of those 2 scouts to bring them in underneath the Barbican, and by doing this, it means professional scouts isn't going to be necessary for him to secure this hunt. Meanwhile, Ghazi Raiders make their way across the map. First one is out for May. We'll check in on back home on the base. You can see the Scholar is still not yet inside this stable, and that's probably because there's maybe not enough Vils on food just yet to justify it. But plenty of units on the way for May. Upgrades on the way through. Sanctity, of course, about halfway done. You'll be looking at that timing about 7 minutes, where May is going to be sending out 3 scholars to the 3 sacred sites to capture all 3 of them together. And then from there, you can look at playing a little bit more defensive. But the primary goal here is going to be to do that. Ghazi Raider comes in, hits the scout head on, fighting underneath the Barbican. Always a little bit dangerous, just with the amount of damage that gets done together with the town center. You can see those shots coming through. Ghazi Raider makes it away with 41 health. There's the scholars now going to be leaving. All of the scholars being sent on their respective missions. 2 scholars remain at home. 1, 2, 3 heading out. Beautifully timed as well. You got to remember that we've got 30 seconds until that sacred site timer is about to begin, or rather the sanctity is about to begin. And it's going to be a barracks at home for Beastie. So Beastie not going to be reacting with a, an archery range into Zhugunu. Just going to be starting off with some spears, playing defensive. And to me, this kind of signals that maybe Beastie's thinking of playing into the castle age a little bit here, which could make sense to deal with the units that your enemy's got. You know, going into the Lancer is quite good, but we do actually see Beastie does go into professional scouts. So the professional scout meta is alive and well in all 3 sacred sites. Don't you love to see it at 7 minutes? This reminds me of the games that Lucifron would play. I remember back in the good old days, you know, Lucifron really showed us how to play the Delhi Sultanate, and this is something that he would do. All 3 sacred sites ticking at the exact same time. You love to see it, because it's so hard to react to this, right? You see Beastie now marching out to the middle. He might be able to neutralize 1 sacred site, but to be honest, even then, it's going to be very close. If May is on the ball here, we do see he spots out the spears. If they make it onto the sacred site just in time. So one of the things that you could do with the Ghazi Raider is bring the Ghazi Raider up, out, and around over on this angle, and then it sort of baits the spears away from this central sacred site. And only if Beastie's paying attention will he actually fall back off that sacred site. And you can see right here, he's not, but we do see some archers now coming in queue, which should be able to clear this up. So 2 sacred sites captured already. May's going to be very happy with this. A lot of gold generated now all of a sudden for him, and you can see the scholars on standby near those relics. All right, well, numbers are starting to look a little bit strong for May. 7 spears out for Beastie as the archers make their way. Meanwhile, back at home, it looks like there's more Raxes that have been thrown down for Beastie. Keep in mind, he's got that Imperial Official working overtime on the mill back here. He's going to want to bring in all of these deer, get them nice and close. Keep in mind that with survival techniques, which is picked up just now, he is going to have a much faster gather rate than your average bear. And I'm going to be honest, I love this style from Beastie. I think this is so cool, and it inspires me to play the Chinese again. Because more recently, I've been a little bit of an English main, but this inspires me to play the Chinese. Why is that? Because it's such a cool opening, right? You open with the double scouts, so the double scouts are going to guarantee you get a lot of sheep. And then from there, you can transition into the professional scouts. The professional scouts is going to allow you to have that constant food coming through, and you can see that with Beastie having so many fuels underneath this mill, he's supervising it up. He's making sure he's got plenty of food income coming through. It feels incredible playing as the Chinese. But have a look at this. Already on the other side of the map, the age up is coming through for May. This is such a quick age up. Prior, or just a little bit after 9 minutes, the click up comes in. Walls in the middle of the map as well. And this is the consequence of not going for that Barbican, because now Beastie's on a real timer. This is a genuine threat. And you've got to remember, playing as the Chinese, this is 100% a threat here that you need to respect. The prospect of a sacred victory. With these walls coming up in the middle, it basically says, hey, you're not going to be taking this sacred site unless I fail to react. And whereas these ones on the edges, these are a little bit more, you know, a little bit simpler. But have a look at the positioning from May in the feudal age here. 1, 2, 3 of the relics held. 4th one back here nice and safe. 5th one up towards this top side as well. Very, very, just like absolutely pixel perfect gameplay from May. Honestly, like not a single fault that you can play against him. incredibly competent player. And, you know, I've talked about it before. Could a one-trick pony become a pro? I think on the rank ladder, 100%. You could have May be a rank 1 player on the rank ladder and only play the Delhi Sultanate. But in a tournament environment, it's completely different. And that's because, May makes a big mistake there. Loses a couple cavalry units, might lose a couple of archers as well. But that's the consequence. I think he was looking to pick up all the relics at that time, and Beastie just managed to push at the exact right time. Single spearman neutralizes the sacred site. And now back towards the home, we do see the men-at-arms are starting to come out for May here. Up to 3 men-at-arms at the moment. Obviously, Zhuge do quite well against them, as long as there's enough Zhuge. Beastie up to 11 Zhuge now. And those relics do come back home. 4 relics, 5 relics already. 10 minutes into this game. Jeez Louise. You don't want to fight up against May, an incredibly strong player here. And yeah, wow, this is incredible. It's honestly wonderful getting to watch May play. Beastie going to be looking for that castle age now. We'll switch over to the income per minute, but you can see he's got plenty of vills here on gold. Drops down the second mill as well. This is really important. You want to do this just because sometimes the vills bug out. When there's too many vills underneath the towns or underneath this mill here, they will bug out. So yeah, it's cool to see. One of the other things to note, and I'll just say this, you know, I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here, and actually I'm going to give Kanoki credit here. Kanoki was the very first player that started doing this, and Kanoki's like one of my OG theory crafter friends. And I was like, you know what? This is absolutely sick. And people took a while to adopt it, but now it's just become a staple of the Chinese. Like, you just have to do this, right? Most commonly, you'd see players put it down on the berries. But it would mean that you've got a longer walking distance. Your villagers were subject to potential raids. And here we can see that, you know, despite being at 12 minutes, Beastie's not even thought about the berries yet. And obviously that's because he's got professional scouts and he's gone double scout opening and all that good stuff. But you guys get the idea, right? It's great to see that players are evolving. Because, you know, it's always tough as, even if you're a Conk 3 player, you're not always the best, you know, like myself. But it's good to see that things still get adopted. So that's great to see. Anyway, men-at-arm numbers now making their way forward. A lot of units here for Beastie. 18 spears, 21 Zhuge. I think he should be fine in the defense here, and the age up does come through. Expect to see crossbowmen in queue almost immediately. Let's wait and see exactly what we've got here. But for the moment, yeah, you can see he's holding very well. It's so hard to get behind these Zhuge and get in there. For the moment, though, May is just going to be buying himself some time. That's primarily it. Sacred Site in the center now, taken again. Sacred Site to the south going to be taken again, and just going to be generating resources here. I think that's the general goal. And look at this. Nice little attack from Beastie. We see Vils on the way out here. May going to be running into it. Let's see how quick he picks up that he's under attack out here straight away, fortunately. Might lose one Vil in the mix. We see that there is no textiles through just yet, but this Sacred Site in the middle probably going to be threatened. How does May go about this one? It looks like it's going to be archers. All the upgrades on the way through for May at this stage of the game. Now, keep in mind, a very hard matchup this is for the Delhi Sultanate. So May going to be having to play out of his mind if he wants to pull out a W here today. Upgrades are on the way through. And all sacred sites are once again held. Towards the middle of the map, though. It looks like it won't be for that long. As Beastie, look, it's incredible how quick he is to respond to these. The sacred sites are all held, and then immediately they're gone. We start to see walls coming up, and look at the timing on these walls. Just beautifully done by Beastie, recognizing that, hey, there's going to be raids that are inevitably coming in towards my base. Let's do everything we can to try and stop those. Vil probably going to go down towards this top side. Might even lose the second one. He's going to sacrifice it just to get the wall up, and I think that makes a fair bit of sense. Units are moving back to try and clear this out, but unfortunately, looks like one will go down. Might lose a second one as well. Meanwhile, towards that top side, men-at-arms going to be fighting up against what appeared to be a crossbowman. Could have been a Zhuge. And now, I think indeed both of those Vils did go down. Do we see any low health Vils? I don't see any low health Vils, so I think both of those Vils did go down. And so far, May's taken out 4 Vils in this game. More walls coming up in the center, and once again, May going to regain control of this central sacred site and push the game towards a potential sacred victory. Meanwhile, back at home, let's ride on board with May and see how things are going as a mosque is being put down. Keep in mind, May's already got 1 mosque and a Dome of the Faith, and now a second mosque is going to be coming up. At least I think this is a second mosque. It could be a third mosque. No, well, I mean, technically you could call this a mosque, but I mean, the label, what it says on the tin is a little bit different. Anyway, towards that north side, May going to be looking to expand out here. Beastie, of course, trying to shut it down. Not going to be able to find it. Maybe 1 Vil kill, but even then the men-at-arms going to be pretty quick to chop their way through. They've got their extra damage coming in, and now Beastie once again pushing pressure. towards that central sacred site. Didn't actually get the capture off on that one, so May not going to be able to hold it. We're right on board with Beastie as the push continues throughout the center. Meanwhile, the farm transitions happened, and take a look at this. Instead of opting, so most players will opt for a, how would you call it, a 12x1 design, where you put down a single granary, you put down a single granary, and you put the 12 farms around it. So here he's gone for the triangle, the trifecta, the diamond. It's not really a diamond, what would you call it? It's kind of like the triangle, isn't it? Boop, 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 boop. The rhombus. I got no idea. He's put them all next to each other. They're touching, they're docking. The granaries are docking. Sorry, it's a good image. It's a great image. The best image. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move forward. All right, well, towards the south, look at the walls that are coming up. It's a slow and steady process, but May is doing a great job in just keeping units on all these sacred sites to maintain control. Central sacred site still not yet held. Archer's going to be walling it up first by the looks of it. Do we see a scholar on the way out here? It doesn't appear so. Beastie now with the first nest of bees online. Meanwhile, towards the base of Beastie, plenty of vills on stone. We'll be looking to secure up potentially gold. That's what I would be thinking. So obviously he's got this gold is like absurdly close to his base, but I guess so is this gold here for May. So probably not even going to be looking to secure gold then. Realistically, where does he go with a keep here? Maybe he just puts the keep defensively at home and then looks to age up behind it, because typically you do see the Chinese have an advantage in the Imperial Age. I guess the other thing to note is Beastie hasn't gone into the second town center yet. So while the economies are relatively close, this isn't the position that you're normally in as the Chinese at this stage of the game. Normally you've got 2 minutes until Sacred Victory and you're screaming like, oh, why did I put myself in this damn position? Or at least that's my experience. Until I started going one base Zhuge all in. I remember playing as the Chinese, and I just said to myself, you know what? I'm just going to one base Zhuge all in every single game. And I didn't realize it, but I went up against like Corvinus multiple times and beat him playing as the Delhi. And I was like, yeah, man. It wasn't until afterwards where I was like, yeah, that matchup is very, very hard for the Delhi. Like, if someone like me can beat Corvinus multiple times, it's one of those things. Okay, there's the second TC. Good. We are finally seeing that second TC coming down here for Beastie. This is exactly what you want to see. It comes through at a decent timing as well. Honestly, I would have said like maybe a little bit earlier could have made sense as well. But I guess Beastie's just wanted to make sure he can always pressure these sacred sites. And you can see that he doesn't really care about neutralizing all the sacred sites. I say that. There's literally two of them are neutralized and the third one is being decapped. Never mind. Don't mind me. I was going to say, like, all he really cares about is just making sure that sacred site timer comes off, but he's genuinely making an effort to neutralize every single one of the sacred sites. He's so annoying, dude. It takes incredible presence of mind to be able to do that. That is insane. And it looks like it will be just a defensive keep. Now, this is a really interesting position here. This is more of like a foothold keep. And the design here is that you always want to be able to neutralize any defenses that your opponent put up on the sacred site. You're always going to be able to challenge the enemy sacred site from this position, because the likelihood is that the enemy will eventually put a keep down here, that they'll put stone walls down here, and this keep allows you to go for trebs or go for cannons, and you're always going to be able to siege towards this position. On top of that, it serves as a defensive function. If your enemy ever tries to attack you, there's a good chance it's going to be up the middle, and by being able to fall back towards this position, it means that your enemy's going to have a difficult time coming in here. So it serves as a way for him to get towards Imperial Age without investing more significantly into his army. So let's take a look and see whether that's going to be the plan for him. At the moment, let's have a look at what the gold numbers are at. He's still got 1,000 gold back here, but not a lot of vills are on gold at the moment. Now, if we do a quick eco count, we haven't actually done that yet. We're 19 minutes into the game. Beastie's got a very clear villager advantage, and that's because of the Song Dynasty. Only now the second town center has come through, so that will start to skyrocket. But keep in mind that May has got the relic advantage as well as the sacred site advantage. So when it comes to resources per minute, we're looking at about 2,000, 2,700, about 3,000 for May, compared over to Beastie, who's looking at about 1,400, 2,400, 2,800, 2,900-ish. Oh gosh, it's going quick. We'll have to check in with him again, but very even Stevens when it comes to that resource count. You'd still have to give the advantage to May just because relics are infinite, whereas Beastie's obviously gathering natural resources. Though the one thing to note is that Beastie's on effectively 2.66 TCs compared to May, who's on 1. So at this stage of the game, the longer that it goes, the better it gets for Beastie. That's the best way to think about it, because naturally his vill count is going to increase very, very significantly over the next 5 minutes. He'll hit max vill count, which is typically around 130, 140 for the Chinese, and that's when his boom will really finalize. He's already got that farming economy that is starting to go ham. He's got gold secured in the base. There's plenty of wood around here as well. well. He's not going to be running out anytime soon. He's got all the resources he needs. This is the perfect mid-game for him at the moment, but that is not reflected in the score. You can see that at the moment, May is still technically ahead by quite a way. And I don't know exactly why that is. I would suspect it's because of the free techs, right? Like, if you look at Beastie, he doesn't have all of the techs unlocked. He's still missing out on his melee attack technologies for the moment. Whereas, like, for May's just literally clicked every single button and researched everything. There's nothing left to research other than Imperial Age technologies. But now towards that top side. Beastie with the significant infantry mass. A couple of Nesta Bees on the back. A couple of elephants out for May. And holding it down towards this top side. Have a look at this. I've just realized May's very, very cheeky here. Oh my gosh. I totally forgot about this. This is like an Age of Empires 2 strategy. You could wall in your enemy's gold, but I mean, the good thing for Beastie is like he's got an 8k right here. He doesn't really care that much at this stage. This will be annoying for him to deal with, but this is so cute. It's so funny. I wonder, does Beastie doesn't see this, does he? Yeah, he doesn't. He's playing a very close-knit game, very tight towards the chest. Now, we're 21 minutes into this game. I'm fearful that we're about to have a big explosion of battle, but before we do, I want to take a sip of my drink. I'll give you 7 seconds to guess what I've got. Oh, that's good. That is so good. Oh, my lord. You didn't guess it. I guarantee you, there was like 1% of people who guessed it. It's coffee. Oh, of course. I just woke up. That's right. Oh, my wife made me a coffee. And can I just say, it is a delicious coffee. My wife, an incredible barrister. She's not actually a barrister by trade. She's never studied law, but she has studied how to make coffee. We got a coffee machine, and she's like, you know what? We need to invest in this coffee machine, and that means investing in me. So she went and did a course where she learned how to make coffee, and I tell you what, dividends have been paid on that course. That every day I wake up to incredible coffee. So shout out to my wife right now. She's actually sitting behind me. Unironically, she's sitting behind me. She's wrapping presents. Oh, the kids are upstairs. Oh gosh, and I think they're chilling up there with their grandma, probably watching the TV or something like that. Don't worry, it's educational, guys. It's educational. It's Coco Melon. I'm kidding. I would never. Oh my lord! I tell you what, trying to block Coco Melon, that's hard. That's a task. But speaking of tasks, have a look at this. I didn't even realize May's gone Imperial Age. Palace of the Sultan's online now. Beastie going to try and push through right as the age up comes in. This is really important to do. Whenever your enemy ages up, you want to try and take advantage of that timing. They've spent a whole bunch of resources on the age up, which they can't now spend on units, and you can try and punish that. And that's exactly what Beastie recognizes here. Huge amount of units running through the base. A lot of men-at-arms and archers, though, on the side of May. Men-at-arms towards the back. Going to run in at breakneck speed on these nested bees. Trying to make a connection. Able to take out the first one. The last two. Managed to get nestled inside the mass of crossbows. Able to take off some decent shots. Elephants continue to rally towards the fore. More and more troops coming out. We see men-at-arms as well as spears in queue. A couple archers, too. But slowly and steadily, the elephants do get taken down. Look at the backline. The nested bees doing a wonderful job here, despite being in the castle age. Beastie about to click up as well. He's got plenty of resources in the bank. He's dealing with raids at home. No, it's just a couple battering rams. Don't mind him. Meanwhile, more and more troops rally out here, but you can feel that Beastie is starting to peter out on this front. Manages to do a very decent job of recognizing the timing, but May still able to hold. Archers continue to be rallied in. Elite upgrades now coming through. You can see all the upgrades that are on the way. The Great Wall Gatehouse coming through. Now, this is going to be a perfectly positioned Great Wall Gatehouse. It guards all the farms throughout the late game. Together with the Barbican, they link up and create this defensive chain that it's going to be very hard to break if ever you attempt to raid these farms in the late game. So really nice positioning here. He's always going to be able to get value out of this, because even if this never kills a single unit, it denies the enemy from ever having the ability to raid in this area, or at least effectively raid. Well, towards that front, Beastie has been cleaned up. Economy looking pretty strong in his favor, 103 vils. Now, he lost quite a bit back in that fight. There were multiple vils that went down, but it looks like he's going to start clearing out that north side. You can see that he's got to keep down on the gold vein towards the top, prioritizing the gold that's further away from his base rather than the gold that is closer to his base. Now, when it comes to gold in the late game, what options do we have? I guess realistically, we've got the trade post. That's pretty much about it. And there's decent spots that he can go for here. So if he wants to, he can definitely secure that up. Naturally, this map does come across as a map that's kind of like your half, my half map. It's very, very simple to just kind of draw that line and then just both players agree to it. But upgrades are on the way. It's going to be pyrotechnics for Beastie. This is going to upgrade his hand cannoneers, get a little bit more range in there. And that's definitely one of the strengths the Chinese like to play into. On top of that, we start to see cupellation coming through. We see lumber or crosscut saw coming in. We also see precision crossbreeding coming in for Beastie, so looking to get all those eco upgrades. Now, keep in mind, this entire time, May is getting all of these upgrades for free, and this is something that May loves to do. So 18 scholars at the moment. 8 of those scholars are in queue as well, so you've got a total of 26 that are going to be coming out. And all of these scholars are going to be empowering the Wi-Fi network and making it even faster to research these technologies even more quickly. And that's incredible, because it means that May is going to be able to get all of these free upgrades for free. Well, that's why they're free upgrades, right? All of these elite upgrades for free. Pikes has now come through. Crossbows have got the upgrades. We don't see elite. There's elite crossbows. It's about halfway through. You can see 47 seconds. It's halfway at 45 seconds. That means it's taking 90 seconds to get that upgrade. That's incredible. Let's check in with the madrasa, though. See if we can spot it out. There it is. It's on the south side. So it's going to be silk bowstrings that's coming in 4 minutes. That's a pretty decent timing, especially because we often see May drop down a second madrasa as well to pick up all the other ones. But yeah, there's the second madrasa now coming through. But it means that you can pretty much guarantee every single tech is going to be here within the next, 15 minutes or so. So really, really nice timing here by May. Sacred Site in the north now going to be captured. Sacred Site in the south is captured. Sacred Site in the center is being captured. And you can see May is once again looking to put on the pressure towards Beastie. Beastie up in score, about 400. And we've got ourselves another great May game. I'm telling you right now, every game we cast of this guy is incredible. It is incredible. This channel might just become a May fan channel. We are just fans of May at this stage. We just cast May games. And if you've got a problem with that, you call Mayday, because there is going to be an emergency. And it's not going to be for me. It's going to be for you, mate, because I tell you what, I'm absolutely comfortable casting May all day. All right, well, let's check in and see how Beastie's doing as elite army tactics come in. Let's have a look and see. Has he picked up Battle Hardened? Battle Hardened has been picked up as well. So he's got full upgrades on these palace guards, basically. The reason why I was wondering if he had Battle Hardened was, even though I see he's got the extra 30 HP, I was thinking that came through from elite army tactics, but then I just remembered it's the armor that you get extra of, so it's not really. But anyway, it's stone walls coming up across the map. Beastie going to try and deny it. Beautiful timing as he manages to wiggle right through, cancels the wall. All of the vills now going to be running for dear life, and you can see just how much these palace guards are going to be able to do. Keep in mind, they've got that extra movement speed. Plenty of damage on this as well, and he tries to get a wall down on this side. Could have just gone through the gate, but even if he goes through the gate, then the vills are just going to get chased, and a huge amount of vills going to get thrown out here. And have a look at this. May at 58 villagers compared to Beastie on 132. Beastie right now in prime position to win this game. His economy is huge. The bombards are coming out. CG Cutie is assembling once again. He knows the power that is CG Cutie. The question's going to be about whether he can reach his final form. Men-at-Arms dive in. The hand cannoneers should be able to deal effectively with them. Might need to pull some villagers to repair. No, he won't. He's not even close to needing to pull vills. And now, towards this top side, the bombard's going to work their way through the infantry that is here. Keep in mind, they get bonus damage against infantry. I think it's very slight, yeah. 62 bonus damage against infantry. So they're going to be able to one-shot these archers, one-shot the crossbowmen, I think, if there's any crossbowmen here. Now, vills... You can see that they're struggling, so May being very annoying here. Might have to siege these down. Yeah, you can see the sieging of the walls is coming through now. And Beastie, with a lot of resources in the bank here, May at the same time has got plenty of gold, plenty of food. But the cleanup does happen. So May's got all 3 sacred sites. Now, Beastie's got a huge economy. That's the other thing to note. Beastie's economy is massive at this stage. So the thing that Beastie needs to do is just drop down production. That's what you do in this position. So for Beastie, I just love to see, like 10 Raxes thrown down, another 5 archery ranges. And the idea is that you just want to be able to queue up a whole bunch of units, and that you want to try and take a fight. And because your economy is so big, if you lose units, you can easily replace them. That's the general idea of having the larger economy, is that even though your enemy might have a bigger army, that you're going to be able to beat over them with attrition. That's the general idea of having that 130, 140 vil mark that we see him up at right now, because he will hit that max population. He may consider deleting vils, because he's still pushing it. He's at 145 now. He's thrown down siege workshops in the back of the base as well. Keep in mind, that is despite having the astronomical clock tower, which often the Chinese will look to try and maximize efficiency and prioritize vils coming out of that. Or rather, units coming out of that. All right, well, Elephant numbers going to start to increase here. I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see a couple more bombards coming out for Beastie in response to these elephants. Of course, the bombard's going to be very effective against the mangonels as well because of that extra range. One thing to note, though, the mangos have got 9 range, the bombards have got 10. So you have to be very careful about the way that you position your bombards. One of the best things that you can do with your bombards, if you've got a lot of them, is keep them in that line formation. By putting them in the line formation, it's going to spread them out quite a bit more, and it means that the mangonel shots aren't going to be doing or clumping up with all of their damage on that center of mass. But now, Beastie really under pressure in this game. 7 minutes approaching for sacred victory. May in a very good spot. Gold, big gold back here, untouched. 2k left on this gold, 4k left on this gold. Stone down in the south side. Beastie's natural resources are slowly getting eaten. He's thrown away, or he's gotten rid of the large gold that's down here. Still got a bit of stone on his side of the map, but that's one of the things that happens. And, you know, this is something that we've talked about, a theme throughout these games, is that when you're playing the Delhi Sultanate, your upgrades are for free, which means the only thing you're spending gold on are units. Now, of course, a lot of those units may be scholars, which are quite gold heavy. But the point is that you're getting those upgrades for free, and naturally it means that you've got all of this extra gold, or just you don't have to gather as much gold as the other civilizations, so you're left with all this gold in the late game, which you can then translate into gold units. Most commonly, hand cannoneers. Towards the south, Mango's going to fire off. Beastie now with the Imperial Palace. We're right on board with him just to get an idea of how much line of sight that provides. You can see the Wi-Fi has been extended all the way out here, the mosque on the front line. I don't know what the idea is. Oh, okay, slow burning defenses. You can see it's coming through. Gosh, look how quick it is. 16 seconds on this keep with the Wi-Fi enabled. That is crazy, man. That is some very quick Wi-Fi. He's got 30 scholars, bro. Is that even... isn't there diminishing returns on how many scholars you can have? Surely, like, the research rate stops increasing at, like, 20. Like, surely at this point you have reached the cap. Or does it just keep amping up? Is there going to be a day where you can research biology in 1 second? Like, click, bam, free, and 1 second. Incredible stuff. All right, well, Beastie towards the top side. Definitely a little bit exposed. He's got 2,600 stone in the bank. The question's going to be about whether he looks to opt towards more stone walls or whether he spends it on keeps. Keep in mind, he's got those 2 town centers, so if he loses out on any vills, he's probably got too many vills here. This is where, okay, I would say you've got too many vills. I would be looking at deleting about 20 vills here. Because the main issue that... Yeah, the main issue that you're going to have is a critical mass. So if May's got a critical mass, it means that your army is dying so fast that even if you replace it instantly, it's just going to die instantly again, right? And that's the trouble, because you're not going to be able to kill enough units to justify being able to replace your army. So there does become a point where having too many villages is a bad thing. And that's largely because of Lanchester's Square, which we've talked about 1,000 times before on this channel, but we'll feature it once again, which is basically the idea that a larger army will kill a smaller army much faster than it would kill a larger army. And because of that, it has less losses. And so subsequently, it means less units that May has to replace, more that Beastie has to replace. So that's something that I'd be looking out for. So we'll keep an eye on that village account. He is moving forward with these bombards. Needs to be careful. How much line of sight does he have here? And the answer is he's got plenty, because he's got the Imperial Palace. Units get chased away on the south side. He definitely needs more stone walls, though. It feels like May has got quite a bit of control advantage. So I'd be thinking about stone walling up along this little area across here and getting some stone walls along here, just to make sure that no units could potentially threaten to flank my siege. That's the way I'd be thinking about it. Now, it looks like Beastie has done the right thing. He has deleted 20 vills, so he's down to 135. So that's exactly what he needed to do. Either that or he's lost a huge amount of vills somewhere, but I suspect it's probably the former rather than the later. And now we start to see that production coming through. Interesting positioning on the production. I always like to put my production towards the enemy, just because it means my reinforcements are going to be closer, right? Like when my units die, another unit pops out, and fortunately that unit is going to be here instead of all the way back here. That's the way I like to think about it. But Beastie could be trying to hide these stables. I don't suspect that's the case, though, because there's archery ranges here. There is a whole bunch. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. I take it back. There's a lot of production here. Beastie's got plenty of production. We just need to start seeing things in queue. That's the main thing. But he could be looking to make siege, though. That's the other thing to note. And if he wants to go siege, then no units in queue makes sense. And look at these random walls that are coming in. You really have to feel like maybe we need to start seeing a couple more stone walls from the beast right now. Sacred Site timer is still ticking, by the way. 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Excuse me, 3 minutes and 16 seconds until that sacred timer comes in. We're now at 3 minutes and 7 seconds. Apologies, had to clear my throat. You would have heard. That's still my morning voice that is waking up. Look at the size of the army here for May. More than 119 population. Bombards might get caught out. Needs to be careful on the defense. Beastie falls back away from the walls at the front. Could delete the palisade walls if May wanted to try and get through on another angle. Clock Tower Bombards do manage to fall back. Sacred Sites continue ticking down, and Beastie at 35 minutes into this game could be in a little bit of trouble. He's got a big economy behind this, but not a whole lot of gold in the bank. And that's the other thing to note. He's been completely starved off gold. Well, I say completely starved off gold. He's exhausted all of his gold. There's no more gold on his side. He needs to go into trade. Because the only things that are producing gold for him now, well, he doesn't have any relics, he doesn't have any sacred sites. It's Imperial officials. That's it. And you've got a whole bunch of Imperial official gold that is stacked up in these granaries. But unfortunately, the Imperial officials aren't able to gather it fast enough. This is feedback I've given to the devs years ago. I basically said, hey, just letting you know, like the systems with the granary don't really make sense because you gather up too much tax and you can't ever drop it off. And, well, obviously it fell on deaf ears because it's what, 3 years later and it still hasn't been fixed. But, you know, who knows? Maybe in 10 years it'll be fixed. We've definitely got time to come. All right. Palace Guards now going to be making their way towards the north side. You can see just how much May is doing a good job at covering these sacred sites, and we have really reached the pointy end of this stick. Double keep going to get thrown down by Beastie. He says, I don't need stone walls, Drongo. All I need are these keeps. These keeps are going to solidify my position. Ville's starting to move forward. Now, if he gets these keeps online, there's a good chance May could make a mistake here, and May could try and go for these keeps and put himself in a bad spot. Now, Beastie's army is still really small. Double the size right now is the army of May compared to Beastie. Beastie with maybe a little bit too many vills, or maybe May with a little bit too many units. The scholars all move forward. He's just going to sacrifice them, trying to get on top of the enemy. Mangonel numbers are huge here. May absolutely evaporates the hand cannoneers on the front line. Elephants now going to work towards that keep. All the siege running away, and Beastie saying, oh my lord, how am I going to deal with this? How am I possibly going to deal with it? The raid at home is slowly getting cleaned up by the Barbican together with that Great Wall Gatehouse. On the south side, the Sacred Site still stands strong. He could look to send some units down here, but they are both protected by keeps. We do have a keep here as well as a... No, the keep's gone down. 1 minute until Sacred defeat. Beastie Cutie right now in the rematch could be going down against the one-trick pony, May. Looking to take down this keep on the Sacred Site. Beastie rallying in more units, needs to send units towards the center. These Sacred Sites are undefended. Has he left it too late? He's deleted a whole bunch of vills, or at least I suspect he's deleted. He might have lost all these vills. He's now freed up a whole bunch of population space, but look at this, 160 population space. He hasn't been able to rejuvenate his army despite having the resources in the bank to do so, despite having the production to do so. Beastie at the end of the game potentially making a critical mistake with 23 seconds left to go. He needs to get on the side. He's looking to pick up the second keep now. He's lost the first one towards the middle of the map. We don't see anything. He's been walled out. He's been walled out on the south side towards the north. Units finally make it onto the Sacred Side. It's a nest of bees. Oh my lord, I'm losing my tongue right now. It's feeling it. There's nothing towards the middle. It's only towards the top. More horsemen are going to make their rounds. They're not even veteran. They get absolutely obliterated. Beastie now with the bombards as well. May really pushing it to the limit now. Beastie with the bombards continues to push through. Takes out the mangoes on the back, but all the units on the Sacred Side. 7 seconds to go. Beastie's going to be tapping out. There's no way it's happening, ladies and gentlemen. The Sacred Sites have all been locked up, and May is victorious against Beastie. The one-trick pony does it. Taking the crown from the king. Ladies and gentlemen, we have seen the rise of a one-trick pony. We have seen a true ranked ladder champion. I hope you've enjoyed this casted game. Make sure you go check out Beastie. I'm sure you already know where to do it, but I'll leave a link down in the description, and we'll catch you in the next one. What a game.